Their voices rise, culture thrives, and the people speak.
Yes, it's an amazing Tuesday morning to you listeners out there. And it is the 23rd of June, 2026. With that, I would like to welcome you to another edition of In the Papers, a paid newspaper review program where we preview and review newspapers for your listening pleasure. I am Inioluwa Adekoya, and with me this morning, I've got the Old newspaper, the Daily Post newspaper, the Nation newspaper, and the Punch newspaper. Right about now, we will go on a short break. When I get back, I'll give you headlines making rounds in the papers this morning. Yes, glad to have you back. Like I said earlier, the program is In the Papers, coming to you from the stables of iPower 102.7 FM. Beginning on the top of the list of our headlines this morning from the Old newspaper, Ondo government presents utility vehicles to Law Commission members. Yes, and now moving to petroleum matters, still on the Old newspaper. Oil prices stumble as US-Iran talks gain momentum. Yes, still taking news from the Old newspaper. Omahi asks cement manufacturers to reduce price. Yeah, still talking headlines on the Old newspaper. Court remands Showore in Kuje Correctional Center. Yes, and now still talking headlines. Moving to the Daily Post newspaper, Okowa spotted at EFCC Lagos office amid ongoing fraud probe. Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, Nigerian government convenes emergency meeting over rising cooking gas prices. Yeah, still talking headlines. I knew Buhari's administration was going to be a mess, Pastor Ayo Orise Jaffa says. Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, Governor Adeleke condemns teenager's death, accuses police of bias. Yes, still taking news from the Daily Post newspaper. We won't go. Nigerians stranded in South Africa protest delay in reparation process. Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, DSS witness Adeyonju admits El-Rufai's confession of wiretapping NSA's phone. Yes, and now quickly to the Punch newspaper, talking state police. Governors demand greater powers. Yeah, still taking headlines from the Punch newspaper, talking matters of insecurity. Igboho defends action as ACF and EF one of anarchy. And now quickly to the Nation newspaper, Orire victims will be rescued soon, says police. Yes, finally on the Nation newspaper, talking 2027, Tinubu's re-election will be based on performance, says Olusi. Yes, and with that, I will take another short break. When I get back, I'll give you more headlines and more news making rounds in the papers this morning. The program is still in the papers on iPower 102.7 FM, and we will be right back. Yes, it's still in the paper on 102.7 FM. Beginning on the top of the list of our news this morning from the Old newspaper, Ondo government presents utility vehicles to Law Commission members. And now to the details. The Ondo State Governor, Honorable Lucky Adekoya, has presented utility vehicles to members of the Ondo State Law Commission in a move aimed at strengthening their capacity to carry out statutory responsibility on law reforms and related assignment. Presenting the vehicles at the governor's office, Adekoya said it is the statutory right of public office holders to be provided with adequate means of transportation to enable them to discharge their duties effectively, stressing that government has a duty to properly equip those entrusted with official mandates. Adekoya further explained that the provision was intended to enhance mobility and ensure seamless field operations for the Commission, particularly as the rainy season sets in. He further noted the Commission is saddled with the responsibility of reviewing and reforming aspects of the state's law where necessary, adding that access to transportation would enable members to conduct studies, inquiries, and engagement without hindrance. The governor said the gesture was also designed as a form of support and motivation to enhance productivity, expressing confidence in the Commission would justify the confidence reposed in its members. He further congratulated the beneficiaries, describing them as fit and worthy of the appointment, and urged them to make effective use of the vehicles in their discharge of their responsibilities. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Open newspaper with the headline, Ondo Governor presents utility vehicles to Law Commission members. Yes, still on the Old newspaper, oil prices stumble as US-Iran talks gain momentum. And now to the details. Oil prices fell amid optimism over US-Iran talks, with mediators unveiling a roadmap towards a final agreement, while global equities traded mixed. After a meeting scheduled was cancelled due to fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, negotiations finally commenced on Sunday in Switzerland, with delegations led by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance and Iran Mohammed Bagher Ghalibaf. Traders remained upbeat after reports that the two adversaries had paused their conflict, which has sent energy costs soaring and fueled inflationary pressures across the global economy. There were initial concerns following reports that Iran had withdrawn from talks over U.S. President Donald Trump's threat to launch further strikes if Hezbollah continued attacking Israel. However, mediators, Pakistan and Qatar, said the discussion were held in a positive and constructive atmosphere. Sentiment improved further as Qatar and Pakistan announced progress in the negotiation, which aimed to address Iran's nuclear program and reopen the Strait of Hormuz, through which about one-fifth of the world's oil and gas supplies pass. The two mediators said the United States and Iran had agreed to establish a communication line to prevent incidents in a strategic waterway. They further added that the high-level committee has agreed on a roadmap towards reaching a final deal within 60 days, laying the foundation for the immediate commencement of further technical talks. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi wrote on X that mediation has delivered major progress towards ending the Lebanon war. Both major oil benchmarks declined during afternoon trading in Asia, with Brent crude falling by more than 1%. Stock markets were mixed after a broadly positive start to the day. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Open newspaper with the headline, Oil prices stumble as US-Iran talks gain momentum. Yeah, still taking news on the Herb newspaper. Omahi asks cement manufacturers to reduce price. And now to the details. The federal government has intensified pressure on cement manufacturers to reduce the price of cement, warning that the current pricing regime is placing a heavy burden on ongoing infrastructure projects and triggering growing demands from contractors and contract variations. This was contained in a statement issued by the Minister's Senior Special Assistant on Media, Francis Ongwaze. The Minister of Works, David Omahi, made this known while delivering a keynote address at the unveiling of the new corporate identity Lafarge Africa, now rebranded as HBM following its acquisition by the China-based Ugzhen Group. Speaking before industry leaders, investors and stakeholders at the Lagos Continental Hotel, Lagos, Omahi said the federal government would begin formal engagement with cement manufacturers from the 1st of July to address what he described as persistent challenge of high cement price. The minister stressed that manufacturers must take responsibility for reducing costs rather than expecting the government to continually adjust project contracts in response to rising material prices. The statement reads in part, and I quote, the Minister of Works, Senator Engineer David Omahi, CON, has called on cement manufacturers across the country to immediately reduce the price of cement, insisting that the current cost of production is placing pressure on ongoing infrastructure projects and according to him, reducing cement prices would not only support the delivery of critical infrastructure projects, but also benefit ordinary Nigerians who depend on product for housing and other construction needs. If that story aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Omahi asks cement manufacturers to reduce prices. Yeah, still on the Herb newspaper, court remands Showore in Kuje Correctional Center. And now to the details. The Federal High Court in Abuja has ordered the remand of Omoyele Showore, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress AAC in Kuje Correctional Center. Justice Muhammad Umar, in a short ruling, ordered Showore to be kept in the correctional center pending the hearing and determination of his motion for stay of the order for revocation of his bail and bench warrant. Justice Umar also dismissed Showore's early application seeking the judge rescual for the case on the ground of alleged bias. The judge then adjourned the matter until the 24th of June for hearing of the application of stay. The news agency for Nigeria announced reports that the motion for stay was filed by defendant new lawyer Adeyinka Olumide Fusika SAN. Nan earlier reported that Showore, also the publisher of Sahara Reporters, arrived at the court in company of members of his group with placards. Justice Umaru had on the 16th of June revoked a bail granted to Showore following his failure to appear in court for trial. Justice Muhammad Umar, in a ruling on an oral application made by the lawyer to the Department of State Service DSS, Akinkolu Kende SAN, also issued a bench warrant for his arrest. The DSS is prosecuting Showore for allegedly making false claims against the person of President Bola Tinubu by referring to him as a criminal in a post he made on his X and Facebook accounts. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Herb newspaper with the headline, Court remands Showore in Kuje Correctional Center. Yes, so now I take a flight to the Daily Post newspaper. Governor Adeleke condemns teenager's death, accuses police of bias. And now to the details. Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has condemned the killing of a 14-year-old boy in Inioluwa, Osun State. Governor Adeleke also alleged that the incident occurred in the presence of police officers, describing it as evidence of growing police complicity in political violence across parts of the state. In a statement issued by spokesperson Olawale Rashid, the governor also criticized the police for allegedly providing protection to sacked local government chairman of the All Progressive Congress APC, insisting that the rule of law and constitutional provisions must prevail in the state. Adeleke further expressed sympathy to the family of the deceased teenager and called for immediate arrest and prosecution of individuals allegedly involved in the attack. Describing the incident as disturbing, the governor questioned why police officers at the scene allegedly failed to prevent the killing and urged the Osun State Police Command to apprehend the suspect he identified as Sahid Tamfani. The governor further reiterated, and I quote, "This killing is the worst example of police complicity. This reconfirms a pattern of police indulgence of Osun APC political thugs who move around towns with guns and regular gunshot in the air." He alleged that police had failed to curb attacks and harassment allegedly carried out by political thugs against residents and supporters of the Accord Party in some communities. It said the administration had lodged several petitions with the Inspector General of Police and the Presidency over rising insecurity and political violence in the state. Adeleke further alleged that the police command was currently providing protection for APC local government chairman who had been removed from office by the court, claiming that security personnel had been stationed at council secretariats to prevent elected People's Democratic Party officials from assuming office. The governor further described the deployment as an abuse of police power and warned that continued disregard for judicial pronouncement would threaten democratic governance and public order in the state. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Governor Adeleke condemns teenager's death, accuses police of bias. Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, Okowa spotted at EFCC Lagos office amid ongoing fraud probe. And now to the details. Former Delta State Governor Senator Ifeanyi Okowa was reportedly cited at the Lagos Directorate 1 office of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC), located on Awolowo Road, Ikoyi. A senior source within the anti-graft agency disclosed that Okowa's visit may be connected to the ongoing investigation into allegations of abuse of office and financial misconduct linked to his administration. The former governor has been under investigation by the EFCC since leaving office over the alleged diversion of about 1.3 trillion naira from the 13% derivation funds allocated to Delta State from the Federation account between 2015 and 2023. Okowa was initially arrested on November 4th, 2024 and subsequently questioned at the Commission Port Harcourt Zonal Directorate. According to the sources, the former governor visited the Lagos office in a bid to secure the release of his international passport to enable him travel abroad for what was described as an urgent medical treatment. However, it remained unclear at the time of filing this report whether the commission approved the request or returned the travel document. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Okowa spotted at EFCC Lagos office amid ongoing fraud probe. Yes, still taking news from the Daily Post newspaper. Nigerians raise concerns over IMF's proposed telecoms petrol taxes. And now to the details. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, recommendation of more taxes on telecommunication services and petroleum products for the Nigerian government is sparked angry reactions from citizens. It could be recalled that recently the IMF recommended introducing taxes on fuel products and telecommunication services in Nigeria as part of broader measures to increase government revenues and create fiscal space for development spending and social interventions. This was contained in Article 5 report on Nigeria. Recent reports that the reactions that followed were spontaneous due to past experiences with the IMF. Although Nigeria has dismissed reports suggesting that it had adopted or was considering the introduction of new taxes on telecommunication services and petroleum products, following recommendation contained in the latest IMF Article 5 consultation report on Nigeria, Nigerians have continued to speak against the recommendation. The government, in a statement, had stressed that recommendations contained in the IMF report were not binding on Nigerians and should not be interpreted as official government policies. It further maintained that decisions on taxation could only be made through constitutional and legislative processes and would be guided by national priorities and prevailing economic realities. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Nigerians raise concerns over IMF proposed telecoms petrol taxes. Yes, still on the Daily Post newspaper, I knew Buhari's administration was going to be a mess, says Pastor Ayo Orisejafo. And now to the details. Former president of the Christian Association of Nigeria, CAN, Ayo Orisejafo, has described the administration of the late former president Muhammadu Buhari as a mess. Orisejafo noted that Nigeria has gone worse under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. The former national president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, PFN, spoke while featuring on Channels Television's Politics Today. He said, and I quote, "In 2014, I tried to warn the nation of the direction it was going. When Buhari's government was getting ready to come in, I knew that it was going to be a mess. From there, I don't know what to call where we are now. It has grown worse. In 2014, I tried to warn this nation of the direction it was going, and it has gotten to a point where I feel I have to say something. I must begin to say something because I pastor people. They are human beings, Nigerians, and we must begin to hold people accountable for what is happening." If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "I knew Buhari's administration was going to be a mess," Pastor Ayo Orisejafo says. Nigerian government convenes emergency meeting over rising cooking gas prices. And that is coming from the Daily Post newspaper. And now to the details. The federal government has convened an emergency stakeholders meeting to address the recent increase in liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) prices and develop measures to improve supply, affordability and market stability. The meeting brought together government officials, regulators, producers, marketers, terminal operators and industry associations to examine factors driving rising LPG prices and agree on interventions across the value chain. Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Patience Oyekunle, described LPG as a critical energy source for household and an important component of Nigerians' energy transition agenda, Nigerians' investment guide. According to her, the increase in cooking gas prices was placing additional pressure on household budget and raising the cost of essential goods. Meanwhile, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Gas, Ekpo, said President Bola Tinubu is concerned about the impacts of rising LPG prices on Nigerians. Ekpo said the president had directed relevant agencies to take proactive measures to address the situation. The minister further said the increase in supply must be supported by efficient logistics, improved infrastructure, and transparent pricing mechanism to ensure consumers benefit for sector-wide interventions. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, Nigerian government convenes emergency meeting over rising cooking gas prices. Yes, still taking news from the Daily Post newspaper. We won't go. Nigerians stranded in South Africa protest delay in reparations process. And now to the details. Some Nigerian nationals in South Africa have protested against delays in repatriation flight and the processing of their return to the country following the ongoing xenophobic attacks. The protesters had gathered at the Nigerian High Commission in Pretoria to know their fate before staging a protest. In a video clip shared by News Central TV, the stranded Nigerians were heard chanting, "We won't go, we no go gree." Recent reports that the first batch of intended returnees had landed in Nigeria over a week ago. On the 11th of June, a flight carrying 268 Nigerians landed in Lagos after leaving Johannesburg, leaving nearly 600 others behind. Ghana, Zimbabwe, and Malawi have already carried out evacuations ahead of the June 30th deadline set by some campaigners for undocumented migrants to leave. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Daily Post newspaper with the headline, "We won't go. Nigerians stranded in South Africa protest delay in repatriations process." Yes, if you're just joining us, the program is in the papers on iPower 102.7 FM. It is a program where we preview and read to you what is making rounds in the newspapers this morning. Right now, I will go on a short break. When I get back, I'll give you more news making rounds in the papers, and the phone lines will be officially open. Yes, the program you're still onto is In the Papers on iPower 102.7 FM. The phone lines are open, so you can call in and make comment to any of the news that piques your interest, any of the news read out to you. The number to call is 0816 552 4699. 0816 552 4699. You can call in to make comment and contributions to any of the news read out to you, any of the news that piques your interest. And now quickly I move to the Punch newspaper and to Kwara State. Kwara Police suspends lecturer for beating IJMB exam candidates. And now to the details. The management of Kwara State Police in Ilorin has suspended a lecturer captured in a viral video physically assaulting candidates of the Interim Joint Matriculation Board program within the institution premises. The video, which surfaced on social media, showed the lecturer caning several candidates who were kneeling down with their hands raised while taking turns to receive strokes of the cane on their palms. The incident sparked widespread condemnation online, with many Nigerians questioning the use of corporal punishment in tertiary institutions and calling for disciplinary action against the lecturer involved. Dance President Akintaye Babatunde described the incident as unacceptable, stressing that students should not be subjected to physical punishment. Abel Tanakot, a lecturer in Kwara State Polytechnic, asked the IJMB students to kneel down and he beat them up with a cane. Such act is condemnable. Students are not animals and should never be treated as such. There are different ways to punish an earnest student, not beating them up. As much as students must never assault lecturers or act rudely to them, lecturers do not also have the right to assault students. I hereby call on Kwara State Polytechnic management to investigate this issue and sanctions should be made where necessary. Reacting to the development, institution, in a statement issued by its public relations officer, Alimat Gaba, clarified that the individuals seen in the video were not students of the Polytechnic, but candidates of the Interim Joint Matriculation Program. The statement reads, an archive, the attention of Kwara State Polytechnic management has been drawn to viral videos circulating on social media in which a lecturer is seen physically reprimanding students. The management wishes to clarify that the students depicted in the video are not Polytechnic students, but rather IJMB, Interim Joint Matriculation Board candidates who arrived late for their ongoing examination. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Kwara Police suspends lecturer for beating IJMB exam candidates. Yeah, still taking news from the Punch newspaper, and now to international matters. Iran promises to maintain control of Hormuz as Suez talk end. And now to the details. Tehran has said that its intent is to maintain control of the vital Strait of Hormuz, a crucial question in the Middle East war talks with Washington that just wrapped up in Switzerland. Vice President J.D. Vance called on negotiations a very good foundation for a final deal to end the conflict, noting on Monday that Washington suspended sanctions of the Iranian oil. But critical questions like Iran nuclear programs and Hormuz, a major conduit of the world's oil supply, have not been resolved despite an initial deal between Washington and Tehran. Technical talks that follow I-11 negotiations in Switzerland have concluded with working groups to be set up on nuclear issues and sanctions. Iran state media reported recently. U.S. President Donald Trump has also demanded an unconditional reopening of Hormuz to marine traffic, but Iran again pushed back fiercely. The statement by Iran chief negotiator Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says, and I quote, "The Strait of Hormuz will never return to its pre-war conditions and will be administered by the Islamic Republic of Iran in accordance with international law." The Strait of Hormuz had reopened last week after Washington and Tehran reached an agreement, but Iran announced on Saturday it had closed it again in response to Israeli attacks in Lebanon. Tehran and Washington have also agreed to establish a line of communication to avoid incident and miscommunication with the aim of safe passage for commercial vehicles through the waterways, according to Qatari and Pakistani mediators. As part of their deal, Washington agreed to release of $12 billion frozen funds to Iran. Iranian state media reported recently and temporarily suspend sanction on oil for the Islamic Republic. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Iran promises to maintain control of Hormuz as Swiss talks end. Yes, so on the Punch newspaper, Senate may pass state police bill today, says spokesperson. And now to the details. The Senate is expected to be convened today for an emergency plenary session as lawmakers move to pass the contentious state police bill and advance one of the most far-reaching security reforms in Nigeria's democratic history. The special sitting following concerns that the proposed constitutional amendment establishing state police formations could not be concluded before lawmakers embarked on a 3-week recess due to quorum shortfall. The bill, which seeks to decentralize policing and allow states to establish to control their own police services, requires the support of at least 2/3 of senators because it involves amendment to the 1999 Constitution. Recent earlier reports that despite broad bipartisan backing, the Senate was unable to secure the constitutionally required number of lawmakers needed to complete the amendment process before processing on recess. Determined to avoid further delay, the Senate leadership has intensified consultations across party lines and appealed to lawmakers to ensure full attendance at today's emergency sitting. In an exclusive interview with Newsman, Senate spokesperson Senator Yemi Adaramodu confirmed the issue of state policing is being treated as priority ahead of today's session. He said the Senate will be considering matters of public interest, especially national security. The state police legislation will undoubtedly be a priority issue. The Senate is expected to receive reports from the relevant committee that earlier got legislative referral for a second reading of the state police bill. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, Senate may pass state police bill today, said spokesperson. Yeah, still taking news from the Punch newspaper. 8 fed dead as farmers' herders clash in Kebbi State. And now to the details. At least 8 people have been killed in a violent clash between farmers and herders in Goma Town, Agugu local government area of Kebbi State. The incident was reportedly triggered when a farmer was allegedly stabbed to death by a Fulani herder while working on his farmland. The killing sparked a reprisal by some members of the farming community who allegedly stormed nearby Fulani settlement, resulting in death of 8 persons and heightening tension in the area. Confirming the incident to newsmen, the Kebbi State Police Public Relations Officer, SP Bashir Usman, said the violence occurred at about 3 p.m. on Monday. According to him, security operatives swiftly intervened to contain the situation and prevent further loss of lives. The incident was a reprisal following a stabbing of a farmer by an herder. We are currently controlling the situation. And 8 people have lost their lives, the police spokesperson stated. Usman disclosed that 4 injured persons were rescued by security personnel and taken to medical facility for treatment before being discharged. He added that normalcy had since been restored in the community, while security personnel had been deployed to maintain peace and prevent any further breakdown of law and order. The police spokesperson appealed to residents to remain calm and law-abiding, urging them to channel grievances through appropriate authorities rather than resorting to violence or self-help. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Punch newspaper with the headline, 8 fed dead as farmers' herders clash in Kebbi State. Yes, and now moving to the Nation newspaper and moving to Oyo State. Orire victims will soon be rescued, says police. And now to the details. The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of the Southwest Zone, DIG Adekoya Fayuade, has assured that all security agencies are working to secure the release of school children and their teachers abducted in Orire local government area of Oyo State last month. He said their freedom was imminent. Fayuade, who doubles as the DIG in charge of Information and Communication Technology (ICT), gave the assurance during a visit to the Lagos State Police Command as part of his operational tour of the Southwest Zone ordered by the Inspector General of Police, Olatunji Disu. All agencies, including government, are working very hard, and I can assure you that within the shortest possible time, the children and their teachers will be free. The assurance is coming amid protest from Ibadan residents who blocked Iwo Road yesterday morning, demanding the immediate rescue of the 39 pupils and 6 teachers. The protesters, in their hundreds, brought traffic and commercial activities on a section of the road to halt for several hours as they displayed placards such as "Government must act" and "Kidnapping in Oyo State, free the Ogbomoso kidnapped victims. Oyo is bleeding and end insecurity now." They listed their demands as safer roads and communities, protection for farmers, traders, students and families, and the restoration of peace, security and justice across the state. During the protest, Muslim participants observed the afternoon prayers on the road, seeking divine intervention for the safe return of the abductees and end of kidnapping and other criminal activities in Oyo State. Speakers at the protest expressed concerns over what they described as escalating cases of kidnapping in parts of the state, warning that residents now lived in fear due to criminal activities. They further urged the state government, security agencies, and relevant stakeholders to intensify rescue efforts and strengthen security measures to prevent further abduction. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation newspaper with the headline, "Orire victims will be rescued soon," says police. Yes, and finally, on the Nation newspaper, RAP's deputy spokesman rejects minority lawmaker call for Tinubu's resignation. And now to the details. House of Representatives deputy spokesman and member of the opposition Philip Agbese has rejected calls by the minority caucus of the House of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to resign over the country's worsening security situation. He alleged the demand was part of a political agenda aimed at unseating the president ahead of the 2027 general election. Agbese, who represents Ado Okpoku Ogbadibo Federal Constituency of Benue State on the platform of the Labour Party, said the call was not motivated by patriotism but by political interest. His comments followed the recent remarks by House Minority Leader Fred Agbedi, who urged President Tinubu to either address the nation's security or economic challenges or resign from office. Reacting to the demand, Agbese said insecurity remains a national challenge that requires collective effort and support from security agencies rather than political rhetoric. If that news aligns with your interest, it is on the Nation's newspaper with the headline, "Reps Deputy Spokesman Rejects Minority Lawmaker Call for Tinubu's Resignation." Yes, the program is still in the on iPower 102.7 FM. Right about now, I will take a short break. When I get back, we will call it a wrap on today's edition of the program. Yes, and with that, we've come to a wrap on today's edition of the Papers newspaper review program, where we previewed and reviewed newspaper headlines and news making rounds in the papers for your listening pleasure. We hope this review has kept you informed of conversations making rounds in the papers this morning. Stay tuned to iPower 102.7 FM for endless list of entertaining and informative program. I remain Inioluwa Adekoya. Stay tuned to iPower 102.7 FM. Stay blessed and God bless Nigeria.